I'm going to start with a just quick show of hands. How many of you know me as the head of AI practice at TCS? How many of you know me as the guy you've seen on Instagram and YouTube? How many people have seen me on Instagram and YouTube? Okay. So, this is a very unique time. This is a very interesting time, right? I grew up as a person who occupied the world of arts. Everybody in my mother's family is a musician. I learned violin from T.N. Krishnan. I was a professional violinist in my 20s. In fact, actually, I joined TCS because at that point, software represented the most amount of work for the, least amount of work for the most amount of money in 1999. But in my 27 years, there has been a very interesting sort of change, and I'm going to sort of speak to you about that, okay? Which is that what I'm actually showing you will look a little bit complicated, but what it is a series of roughly about 20 AI agents that work for me, that do research, that read through scientific papers, that do fact-checking, that draft, do analytics, and so on, so that I get off my busy TCS job, come on the weekend, and then record my Instagram reels, because all the hard work has already been done here. So, in short, I have 1.5 million followers on the topic of food on Instagram, entirely because I have about 20 AI employees, not because I have a giant team and I work on this full time, right? So, this is a very remarkable and interesting kind of time, right? Let me also sort of bring it a little bit more to life by showing you something one of our employees did a few months back, okay? First, I want you to watch this video, then I'll tell you exactly what's going on here, okay?
Keeping maps listings accurate and up-to-date is hard. Today, the process relies on manual phone calls that are costly and time-consuming at scale. The solution? Move from manual calls to an agentic, fully automated process that dials a business, understands the conversation, captures key details, and updates the listing end-to-end, all in real time. Our AI voice agent, powered by automatic calling, speech-to-text, natural language understanding, and simulated maps integration, can close the loop from first hello to updated map entry in just minutes. Let's listen in as it verifies and updates the details for Cafe Cupertino.
Good morning. This is the Business Listing Verification Team, calling on behalf of Maps. May I please speak with the owner or manager of Cafe Cupertino?
Speaking. How can I help you?
Thanks. We're just confirming your business details so customers can find you easily. Is now a good time to verify your address, hours, and a couple of other details?
Sure, that's fine.
Great. Could you please confirm the street address for Cafe Cupertino?
Yes, it's 1 Infinite Loop, Cupertino, California, 95014.
Got it. 1 Infinite Loop, Cupertino, California, 95014.
So, I don't have to make you watch the whole video. It's basically an AI agent that's making a phone call to a restaurant owner, and then essentially verifying everything and asking, hey, is this still your address? You know, is this when you open? And verifying and updating the information. That's not the interesting part. You know, we do this for a living. The interesting part is the very simple question, how long did it take to build this? This whole thing took about 48 hours. That's the first provocation. I'll tell you another thing. How many people did it take to build this? It took one person, 48 hours. How old was this person? This person was 21 years old and joined TCS 3 months ago. Fresh out of college. No coding experience, and managed to build this. And here's the even more surprising part. That entire fancy marketing video, normally some engineer would have built the thing and have sent it to the marketing department, some agency would have put together the stock footage, the animation, and produced this slick video that I would have shown you. The same 21-year-old kid built the app, also made the video using AI. Right? So, we're again living through a very, very bizarre period of time that is not immediately visible to a lot of people, right? So, I want to sort of take you back on a little bit of a historical perspective, right? That every time we've seen a major technological disruption in the last 500 years, it has always made what would seem impossible seem very normal and possible, right? The printing press did that. Knowledge stopped being a luxury, right? Electricity, for the first time, everybody had access to near infinite amounts of energy. Prior to that, at best, the amount of energy you have in your shoulders, maybe animals and horses, and if you're really rich, you could exploit other human beings. But all of a sudden, by the 20th century, you plug something into a wall and you have near infinite amount of energy at your beck and call, right? Internet entirely eliminated geographical considerations. Team of 25 people sitting in a startup could build $1 billion business. Now, we're in the period of AI where I think we are the first time we're democratizing access to any kind of technical knowledge, right? Again, this is important. We're moving from a world where how to do something was the most important thing, and we're slowly shifting away to what to do, right? So this is the one. So, and I want to also sort of highlight something that I have learned, and I can tell you as a person who has 20 AI employees, that AI is not a technology, but it's neither human as well, right? So it's an entirely new category. It's not a calculator, it's not a colleague, it is not a replacement, right? So the interesting thing is, this is what I want you to think about. AI is somewhere in between a human and technology. Because for the simple reason that technology is something that you build in a factory. You know exactly what you're building. Do you know how AI is built? You give it everything on the internet and you just say, you build yourself. It's more akin to biology than it is akin to this. So what is interesting is that you do not use AI like you use software. You treat it like a very forgetful teammate, but who has a PhD in every subject and can occasionally get things wrong in very bizarrely unpredictable ways, right? So when you think about this, what has therefore happened now is that very shortly, in just the last 6 months, work is getting compressed, right? Essentially, what used to need a team of specialists, right? Weeks of work, multiple hands-off, expensive iterations, right? Somebody would have to speak to the customer, understand it, then hand it off to a developer who will code something, and then hand it off to the marketing team that will put together a marketing video, is now literally just a few hours of work for one 21-year-old, right? So what does all of that mean? What all of that means is that we wanted to test something. We had this insight that the future of talent in India is not necessarily only going to be driven by engineering colleges, not only going to be driven by computer science graduates. Right? Our insight was that people who know what to solve will be more valuable than people who know how to solve it. You will still need both. There is still a world where there's still complicated regulatory industries and banks and hospitals. You still need people who know how, right? But more and more people will need to know the what, right? And what is interesting is that in the lead up to the AI summit that happened in Delhi recently, we ran a hackathon for close to 10,000 students. Every single one of them was from humanities, commerce, arts, literature. There were people with a Tamil literature background. There were people who were studying law, people who were studying criminology, right? And so on. And the amazing thing is that we made them use AI and made them build applications. And I'll tell you, the stunning verdict was that these students built better applications than engineers did. That's what completely stunned us. Again, it focused on the fact that these people knew exactly what they wanted to do. The person studying criminology knew, oh, this is the software that I need to build to help the police. The person studying psychology said, this is exactly the AI app that I want to build to improve people's mental health. An engineering person does not have that insight. They just know Java and Python, but these people know that. And now you have to realize AI knows the programming language. You need to know what to do, right? So this, finally, I want you to watch this video.
Ladies and gentlemen, let the hackathon begin!
This is the world's largest AI summit. Namaste, Delhi.
AI Hackathon is the largest single session learning initiative of this kind globally.
What this event proves is that AI can be used by everyone.
So today the power is with every one of us to solve real world problems, and you don't need a tech person supporting you to do it. Super proud of you. Congratulations, all of you.
So the amazing thing is that 2,000 students built nearly 2,000 applications in under 75 minutes, simply by using AI as a collaborative teammate where they focused on empathy and problem definition, and the AI just simply worked with them iteratively to build this technology. And trust me, this technology is getting better and better, right? This really raises a lot of interesting questions. So that's the part of my presentation where I hyped up AI and I told you all the amazing things it can do. I told you how it's helping me manage 1.5 million followers on social media, right? But to be fair, let's understand what are the unknown unknowns, things we don't have answers to. I don't claim to have answers to them, right? So let's sort of really ask some really tough questions. What does a degree mean? What is a degree going to mean in 5 years, 10 years from now? It's still definitely going to be not much of a change in the next 1 or 2 years, except in some areas, but you can start to see what's going to happen, right? If someone can solve a technology problem without coding, what are you certifying, right? What are we interviewing people for, right? We're already seeing that degree demand in AI exposed jobs is already decreasing. So if you really think about what's happening is that it's hard enough for people to change. It's hard for companies to change. It's even harder for an entire educational system to adapt to what is an exponential change, right? So in a sense, I think the harder question is, how do you tell good from bad? How does an educational institution or a TCS or anyone else, how do I know you have understood something and versus you have not, right? Exam scores are going to be meaningless. I mean, I can tell you, if you don't think students are not going to have like literally contact lenses that can hit a ChatGPT and give you answers while you're writing the exam, that's where the technology is going, right? In that world, what do exam scores mean? What do marks and percentages mean? What does any kind of reproduction of a text even mean at all, right? So how much do you know is going to be a meaningless question, right? So therefore, the new question is, can you describe the problem with enough quality that an AI can give you a high quality solution is going to be the next new skill, right? The other thing, the human skill is judgment when you don't know things, when things are uncertain, right? We are products of mammalian evolution where the single biggest skill of our brain is making split-second decisions under great amount of uncertainty. That's what we evolved for. We didn't actually evolve to sit and do Excel sheets and make PowerPoints and write software code at all. So in that sense, AI cannot act under ambiguity because it can only act on data and information it's already seen. It can't produce anything novel, right? So you bring judgment under ambiguity, right? Now, the real question is, can you create something real, something unique that solves a real problem? Is pretty much the only thing. And this is exactly how I have been hiring for my team in the last 6 months, right? So there are other questions. Is all of this use of AI making our brains weaker? These are valid questions. We'll have to continue to debate them. But again, honestly speaking, we used to ask if kids were getting dumber because they were using Google. And my generation of people were told that because we watch TV, we are absolutely going to become dumber, right? And 100 years ago, people were told the same thing about radio. And by the way, intellectuals in the 15th century said the same thing about the printing press, saying that, oh my God, you're going to read something by yourself instead of learning it from someone in person in a church. They said the printing press was going to bring civilization down. So I am not too overly worried about this. I think we will adapt. We will find the right balance, if you will, right? So therefore, it's a given that AI will change education. There is just absolutely no doubt. The question is, will education change fast enough for AI? Right? For example, for my son, I actually have, I found him cheating on his homework using ChatGPT. He would just type in the question and say, tell me what to write, and he would just copy that, right? So my solution to that problem was not to say you will not use ChatGPT, but because I'm a technical guy, I changed the settings so that when he uses ChatGPT, it doesn't give him the answer directly. It asks him some questions to see whether he's actually revised, whether he's actually learned, and so on. So this is going to be this infinitely flexible cognitive abundance available for everyone that can be misused. It can also be used to great effect, right? So in a sense, I think we all have to internalize the fact that you're going to go from using AI as a tool, which is what we probably all are, right? Just asking some question on ChatGPT, hey, help me do this, right? To an assistant, where it's sort of, I do something, it's maybe helping me make a PowerPoint presentation, doing some research, and so on, to essentially me giving it work, it completing that work and coming back to me for supervision. To eventually it doing a fair amount of things autonomously on your behalf, where you hold the outcome accountability, right? To eventually, like what I do, I have an agentic workforce sort of working for me, right? How do we all kind of in various areas, and again, you should do this in your personal lives, but should a doctor do this in the context of healthcare? Probably not. I want more humanity. I don't want too much AI, unless it means providing more people more healthcare, right? So the point is, I'll tell you what I am seeing. I see a lot of people still be resistant, and what I find is that people who are experts in a given space, I am telling you in the last 1 year, I find this behavior. Everyone likes technology when it makes them better at something they are not good at. The moment technology does something that you do very well, be it coding, be it writing, be it whatever, then you have a problem, right? So this is going to be a problem that all of us really have to sort of address. So really, I urge all of you to think about this. If your skill, if your job involves generation, inspiration, diagnostics, analysis, adaptation, information, don't do it. AI will do that better. You focus on framing the problem, assessing, curation, synthesis, sense-making, navigating human networks, and being empathetic and engaging with human beings. This partnership is really what's going to define your future, right? So when we, as an existential problem for ourselves, essentially ran what is the world's largest hackathon internally for all our employees, we found 260,000, nearly almost 400,000 apps got built in a 6-week period. And some of the best performers are not the senior-most, most seasoned people. The people with less sort of legacy mindset and openness to use AI were the ones who did better, right? So in a sense, I'll leave you with this. This is what I am hiring for. I'm not saying this is organization-wide, this is what the hiring strategy is, but I am hiring for somebody who treats AI as a teammate and not a tool, right? I am hiring for somebody whose learning rate is greater than their knowledge stock. I don't care about your knowledge stock at all, right? So this is sort of the world that we live in. It's very, very early days. The funny thing about AI, anything I say is going to be obsolete in a matter of a week, right? So my suggestion is go make friends with your AI agents and start to get creative. Thank you.
So we heard from Ashok Krish. Now we have to hear from Krish Ashok.
Yes.
Who is your alter ego.
Yes.
Who's the author of Masala Labs and this fascinating Insta handle that he has, where he talks about all kinds of things from 5 myths about protein and why 5 myths about fruit and all sorts of great stuff.
Yes.
So who is Krish Ashok and how is he related to Ashok Krish?
So the funny story is that I blame TCS for making me Ashok Krish because South Indians don't have a surname. So it's father's name and your name. So that's Krish and Ashok. Ashok is my name. But HR systems tend to expect first name and last name. And so they made me Ashok Krish. Krish Ashok essentially is, they're not two different people actually, but they're operating under a very different set of constraints, right? So one is operating under the stakes of a large, high stakes corporate environment where speed has bigger consequences, and another world where speed is a huge advantage. You need to be super creative, but your constraint is time. Right? So these are, I think, very different sort of things. So my entire social media, the first constraint is I only have about 90 minutes a week to do it. Whereas I have 5 days of the week, in fact, sometimes 7 days of the week for my regular job. So the way we think about it and what creativity can apply, what I can do, how much AI I can use. And the fascinating thing is that the way I'm able to use AI to become 100 times more productive on social media, I don't see that happening in large companies or institutions or educational institutions anytime soon, right? And this gap is going to keep widening. So that, I think, is the difference between Ashok Krish and Krish Ashok.
So why can't we have more of Krish Ashok in the Ashok Krish space?
That's exactly why I'm still at TCS, and that's exactly my job description, is to go and make trouble and sort of inspire people to sort of push the edges, and we ran one of the largest hackathons in the world. So I think it is...
but sorry, large corporations don't like trouble, no?
No. So the interesting thing is that one of my experiences, at least with the Tatas, is the fact that they outwardly look like someone who's very conservative and slow.
At least, to us.
Internally, they have some of the highest appetite for targeted strategic disruption. Meaning that they will find people like me and say, go start a fire there. And my job in the last 15 years is to keep going and starting fires. So
who puts them out?
Sorry?
Who puts out?
No, so the idea is that you have to put out a fire and then arm the people with the fire extinguishers and so on. So that's sort of like been my job description, if you will.
So as Krish Ashok,
yes.
I've been following it for a while now.
Yes.
You're quite a feminist. I mean, everything seems to have come from your mom and the way you observed her cooking, and you're also quite a cook, which is very unusual for a man in India.
Yes.
Talk a little about both.
Well,
and you're very scientific about your cooking, which reminds me of that Lessons in Chemistry, that lovely book.
It's one of my favorite books.
It's so lovely.
See, I think for me, cooking was something that my mother had 3 boys, and so she, as you might imagine, she was always tired.
3 boys?
Yes. 3
you were
boys.
the youngest?
Eldest.
Eldest.
So essentially, the only son not likely to cause an LPG explosion was me, so I was taught to cook.
But very very progressive of her to teach you to cook, and progressive of you to learn it.
Yes, I mean, I think it living all over India and also sort of helped. And it was also, in a sense, I think I would also have to credit my father for also saying that once I turned 13 and 14, he felt that my mother should take on more promotions and travel more.
Oh, she was working as well?
She was working as well. So
what did she do?
She was in a bank, Canara Bank, and my dad was in a private company selling healthcare, microscopes and things like that. And so he felt that my mother had sort of compromised on her career to take care of the 3 of us. And once I turned 13, he said, just teach him how to cook, then you take on promotions and travel so that me and him will manage, right? My mother did not trust my father.
Practicing this in your
very much
as well.
Very much. I think, I travel a lot, but whenever I'm at home, I do definitely cook. See, I think for me, the feminism, in a sense, I really think of it as, I think if you're being human, you probably have to be a feminist, right? In the sense that
I wish people would know that.
Yeah, it's not something that you have to posture about and
louder applause.
It is, and really, there's a very simple, selfish reason. There are 2 things that you can do today that will have the single biggest impact on your health, right? One is to do weightlifting and build muscle. It'll prevent diabetes and everything else later in life. And when you're old, you'll have a great quality of life. The second thing is learning to cook. Because the more you eat home-cooked food, the healthier it's going to be. Absolutely. It's an essential life skill, in my opinion. People say swimming is a life skill. You're less likely to find yourself in the water than you are likely to, wanting to eat every day.
Exactly,
right? Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the myths you bust about food as well, even when it's home-cooked food, the way you talk about what were the vegetables the ancients ate,
Yes.
things like that.
Yes.
So does that come from ChatGPT? I'm now getting worried.
No, it's not. It comes from, the interesting thing is that ChatGPT doesn't, for starters, these things,
I mean, not ChatGPT,
they
I mean
know very
your-
little about India,
Yeah.
is my experience.
Yeah.
They tend to hallucinate
Thank
very
God.
freely.
Yeah.
So it sort of comes from, again, my grandmother being a fantastic storyteller. And the sort of insight that great stories are not about remembering interesting facts, but remembering connections between very disparate things.
Right.
So it's also less intellectual effort to remember connections because they're very memorable.
Right.
So I don't remember the year something happened, but I know for a fact that the gold in the Trivandrum temple vaults was actually from the pepper that Kerala sold, right?
Yes.
I don't know how much gold there is, and that I don't remember,
but
right?
how fascinating. And
Yes.
you're able to connect history.
So it's the connections, and I think it's connections is what makes the storytelling more interesting, right? And sometimes also science is taught in such a dry and a terrible way in schools. So in fact, one of the things that I do is I go to government schools in Chennai and essentially take a 2-hour session very regularly, which is, can I revise all of your class 7, 8, 9, 10 chemistry, biology, and physics in the kitchen? So we go to the school kitchen, they make biryani, they make something else, and I can explain acid-base reactions, thermodynamics, every aspect. So in a way that your school, you're never going to learn. Your school labs are some of the worst things that students go through, right? And you don't learn anything, but you're going to remember it through the lens of your favorite food, right? And so for me, I think when I wrote Masala Lab, it was for the purpose of communicating science. It was a food book in a very secondary sense.
Yeah, but I recommend it to all of you. It's a fantastic book by Penguin, I think. Penguin.
Yeah, it was by Penguin, yes.
So when's the sequel?
It's coming out this year.
Oh, it is? Oh,
Yes.
it was just... Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
And it is what? Masala Lab?
So, yeah, the first book ended with you getting into the kitchen and then walking out and making a biryani at the end.
Yeah.
This book starts with you eating the biryani, and we follow the biryani through your body.
Oh, wonderful.
So,
Thank you so much. But,
Thank you.
But just the last question.
Yes.
So when did the engineer Ashok Krish become Krish Ashok, storyteller?
Oh, it was always there. So I used to be a blogger since 2007. I was
What
always
did
a
you blog
creative.
about?
Mostly making fun of South Indian traditional mindsets and, sort of writing steampunk sci-fi blogs and so on. And then I used to make sort of subversive remix music since I'm a musician.
Yeah.
And then
guitarist and a violinist.
Yes, I play the violin, cello, and guitar. So I was always an art person. And I think, in a sense, I think it also helps the engineer. My TCS job helps me be a better musician because I can think about engineering and how to use those things, technology better. And the artist helps me become a better AI or a technology person because it helps me focus on the what rather than the how. Because I know technology will keep getting better, right? So that's.
And the storyteller?
The storyteller, I probably have to credit my grandmother because we literally forced her to tell us stories all through our childhood, and I just sort of picked up a knack for the hook and how you say surprising things and how to sort of hold somebody's attention.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's such a joy. And
Thank you.
I do recommend his book. It came out in 2023. So
The book came out in 2020, but there was an updated edition in 2020. Yes.
And there's, as he says, a sequel. Thank you so much.